morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today I'm going to talk a little about having a vision and holding it in the global marketplace. So the elements of this talk have been used to produce real-world results. So let's begin by imagining ourselves in a sunny afternoon. We're up in the mountains, and it's nice and warm. You can hear the birds chirping in the background, and perhaps a cool breeze blows every once in a while. You notice a twisting mountain road, and maybe you hear cars spinning off into the distance. Now imagine yourself on that road, except now you're on a motorcycle, you're going as fast as you can, and it's exhilarating, you're having this white knuckle experience like you've never imagined before, and you're going fast. And in that exhilaration, in the moment of time, you're going fast, and you come along a blind curve with a warning sign that says right turn, 20 miles an hour. And when you look down, you're going 60. What do? I fell and I hit the ground, and I flew back into the air. And I skimmed along this chain link fence. And when I was skimming along the chain link fence, I noticed these posts. And I knew at one point or another, I was going to lose altitude, and I was going to have to deal with that. And I thought, well, maybe I can tuck in behind one of them. Well, then what about the one after that? The one after that? I had a situation to deal with. Do I sacrifice my leg, not knowing whether I'm ever going to walk again or be paralyzed? Or do I die? And it got dark. I didn't see a glow. I didn't see a warm light that I was compelled to walk towards. I was afraid. I didn't have an overwhelming rush of love and peace. It turns out that a lot of dirt had gotten on my visor and became completely dark on the inside and blacked out. I just made that life and death decision. I was very uncomfortable with the situation, so I opened my visor as quickly as possible, and there it was, the brilliant blue sky. I was happy. That day, I chose to live. But with that choice, I also accepted all the obligations that came along with it. Physical therapy, pain, being a burden on my friends and family, financial obligations, emotional challenges, and the most difficult of all, the conversation that I would have to have about motorcycles with my mother. So what kept me going was vision. And you may ask yourself, what is vision? Well, vision is a commitment. It's a commitment to what you declare as satisfactory for your life. It's a commitment to be who you need to be. It's a commitment to learn what you need to learn. And it's a commitment to shed yourself of your ego, because it may be stopping you from getting what you want. So making a commitment is a lot easier than keeping one. We can talk all day long. So let's go through a few steps, and this will hopefully remind you of what it takes to keep your vision. Step 1, be clear. Now, in having a vision, nobody's going to tell you what it is. It's up to you to find one for yourself. And this is a vision for your life. You're taking a stand. What are you standing for? We're in a global marketplace. So if you have an idea for technology, there may be 100 other people in the world that are thinking the exact same thing. Your stand will determine your choices with who to collaborate with, if you collaborate with them, or who to compete with. Without that clarity, that decision doesn't exist. Step 2 is to remind yourself often. Now, life has a way of throwing emergencies at us all the time, and it happens to take up a lot of our energy, time, and effort. And for some reason, we get distracted and end up on the TV, or in front of the TV. Remind yourself why it's important to you. Why are you passionate about it? Why is this impact on the world so important to you? What are they going to benefit from it? Step 3, plan your actions. Plan them around your strengths and your limitations. And we're not talking about who you think you are or who you want to be 5 years from now. We're talking about right now with your butt in that seat. And this is probably the most difficult step because it requires a tremendous amount of honesty. And to get to that point, to get to that truth, you have to go through a process of reflection. And so, here we go. Planning tools. And today we're going to use motorcycle parts as metaphors for life. Because it's fun. All right, so the first part we're going to talk about is the throttle. This represents your inner power. Okay, you may have a lot of emotional power, physical power, intellectual power, financial power, or spiritual power. Whatever it is, Know when it's effective, know when it's not effective. Know if the world is ready to accept all of your power. In this picture, there are limitations called physics. Any more power applied here will have them fall. You need to know those limits too. You may have more power than you know what to do with, and that's a good place to be. The next part we're going to talk about is the clutch. Now, the way the clutch works is you have energy coming from the engine that's going to be transferred to the wheel. Okay? And in between is this clutch, which is like a valve for the energy. And most people say that there are two positions. There's the fully disengaged and the fully engaged. And so let's say it's fully disengaged and you're applying your power as best as possible. Well, there's no energy going to the ground, so what you're probably doing is making a lot of noise and annoying a lot of people around you. Right? So what you want is to be fully engaged. That way you have the most optimum and efficient form of energy transference into the wheel. Okay. Now, what people don't talk about are all the infinite positions in between. Now that's there so that you can apply it smoothly to get the results you want. Because if you pop the clutch, you might bog down the motor and stall, or you might flip the bike over. So there's an art in applying your power, getting from disengaged to fully engaged. And when you master that, you can overcome obstacles. The next part we're going to talk about is the transmission. And simply put, for every speed, there's an appropriate gear. Generally speaking, we can say that the faster you're going, the higher the gear. The slower you're going, the lower the gear. So what does this mean about people? Well, in terms of people, we have appropriate beings. Now, we have the gift where we can be different people in different situations at any point in time because we choose to. And some of you may be thinking that I'm me. I'm comfortable with who I am, and I'm very grounded with who I am. So hold on to that thought for a moment, and let's work through this example real quick. This woman is waiting at the airport ready to go on a business trip. Her employee is late. She's very upset because they're about to go meet with a big client that can make or break the company. There he is. He calls. He calls because he's late and because he's running from the police because he pirated too much software. Now she's in a situation. Moments later, she gets a phone call from her son. Her son wants to be a mountain pirate for Halloween. And somehow she has to break it to him without breaking his heart that pirates live on the seas and not in the mountains. Okay, so we have two situations, same person, different beings. Do you think she's going to communicate the same way with her employee as she is with her son? Maybe. When the field gauge reads full, it's like we're on vacation. We can say that we're full of joy, we're full of happiness, compassion, and love. We take the extra time to understand, to really listen to somebody. But what if it's on empty? Who do you become? Are you just pretending to listen, saying, not really taking in what's being said? Who do you become? Do you know what your field gauge says? And then this happens. Then what? You may be in despair. You don't feel like there's a solution there for you that exists in the world. You feel all alone. So in motorcycles and automobiles, the reserve is not there to fix anything. It's there to help you get to the next gas station. And this is probably the most defining moment for all of you if you choose to embark on a journey where it involves a big vision. What you do in this moment will define who you are in the core, whether you dig deep and get out of where you are and move forward, or you quit. So let's say you bring all this together, and you have an action plan that makes sense for you, where you are today. Now it's time to take action, because nothing happens without taking that step, right? And there are going to be some days in which you don't want to do anything. You want to sit in bed, eat bonbons, and watch TV all day. And it's in those times you get support. If you don't have the courage and energy to bring it out from within you, get that friend where you go bungee jumping, he says, on 3, and pushes you off the bridge at 2. Get that guy on the team. And then once you have effective action, then you can achieve. And this is an opportunity, because we're in a global market, to show the world what's possible. This was thought of as impossible not too long ago. So let's review.